Malacca. April 8th. Like to approve the minutes of March 25th, 2025.
I move that we approve minutes of March 2025. Oh, sorry, I second.
All in
Keep
favor?
forgetting I have to vote.
Is Peter there? Not yet.
He's eating dinner.
Okay, select board to review a list of proposed articles for annual town meeting warrant.
That's the handwritten, not the sketch.
That's what I figure out.
Oh, is that one of the things you put it in front of us?
No, that one has highlighted the ones that we're still writing. That we're also coming in with. And here's another copy.
Okay,
That one's not.
that's okay. I can read.
Article 1, to vote by official ballot for all town officers, committees, trustees, etc., and to fix compensation for the same. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate or otherwise provide such amounts of money as are reasonable and necessary to defray the expenses of the town for fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026, or take any other action relative thereto.
Oh. It doesn't the fiscal year begin on July 1st, 2025?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that has changed.
Article 3, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money to operate the broadband enterprise. These numbers aren't final, I guess, but, and then salary stipends of 15,000, expenses to 312,222. Extra unforeseen 15,000, and the amount of 342,222 will be raised as follows. From broadband department receipts or take any action relative thereto. I guess that was still in edited form. Article 4, see if the town will vote to transfer the amount of $72,508 from the broadband retained earnings account to the broadband stabilization fund and take any action relative thereto. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to transfer the amount of $6,300 from free cash for the assessor software upgrade conversion or take any action relative thereto. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to transfer the amount of $81,000 to pay off the parentheses year Silverado truck loan so that it can be sold or take any other action thereto. There's also another thing on the agenda to talk about that from the Department of Revenue recommendations. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to transfer the amount of $72,508 from the broadband retained earnings account to the broadband stabilization fund or take any actions relative thereto.
Didn't you just say that on the previous page?
Yep.
So that one's redundant. 4 and 7 are redundant.
Article 8, see if the town will vote to transfer the amount of $5,000 from free cash to the FY25 insurance account or take any other action relative thereto. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to create a revolving fund for off-duty administrative and cruiser fees.
That's not quite the description. We'll have to work on that.
Yeah.
What we discussed in the finance committee meeting, last night about our recommendation is going to be that administrative fees go to town offices, the general fund entirely. And the vehicle rental fees go to the revolving fund.
This is just a draft, is that correct?
Yes.
So it's,
Yeah.
it's a work in progress.
Right.
Yeah.
But since I knew what the recommendation of the finance committee is likely to be, I mean, we haven't completely finished all our deliberations, but I think that's what I think. Do you agree, Bob? Yeah. So I thought I would make it clear in this context as well. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Article 10, to see if the town will vote to establish a town building stabilization fund under the provisions of MGL, Chapter 40, Section 5B, for the purpose of funding a new geothermal heating system at Town Hall, or take any action relative thereto.
Who's that about?
The
That's
geo,
what that's with the special town meeting we had.
What was it about?
Oh.
it doesn't say.
It doesn't say, it didn't say, so that's,
Special town meeting and only got 60,000.
Yeah, something.
Yeah. well,
This
yeah,
is
this,
still-
this is
this
a
is
draft,
draft.
this isn't the final, we're just telling you where we are in the process, because tonight you have to vote close warrant.
Article 11, rescind $28,139 unissued department for fire truck. This is in draft, it says how to phrase it, so once it's even written out yet. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to transfer the amount of $20,000 from free cash to the town building stabilization or take any action therefore.
How is that different from other movies?
One is the buildings fund, one is the specific project.
Article 13, to see if the town will authorize the assessors to apply $80,000 from free cash to reduce the fiscal 2026 tax rate or take any action relative thereto. Article 14, to see if the town will authorize the select board to apply, accept, and expand for specific purposes provided by any federal or state grants or programs which may be awarded to the town. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to accept as available funds any and all monies from the Executive Office of Transportation for fiscal 2026. Article 16, to see if the town will choose or create as appropriate any other town committees, boards, commissions, trustees, offices, etc., and to fix compensation for the same or take any other actions relative thereto.
I have a question about that. Does that include possibility of creating a capital fund, a capital committee? Capital planning committee, excuse me.
The board can establish their committees.
That would be convenient, because we're talking about it, we're not ready to do it yet, because we think there are a lot more people that need to be involved in that conversation. But, that would make it possible to do it without having to call another special town meeting later in the year. And that's the only one I know of that we're thinking of creating right now. Who knows, we may go crazy.
So that should be included in the warrant.
Well, a decision hasn't been made, it's just saying, you know, do you empower the, I mean, and obviously it would have to be done in a public meeting, it would have to be done in a select board meeting, and it would have to be on the agenda, so it's not like it would be invisible to people.
A little bit different at an annual town meeting than it would be at the select board meeting.
Right, but,
As far as attendance and participation by the electorate.
so you want that one out?
No, I'm suggesting that if you have a committee in mind.
We might just put in there such as a capital planning committee.
That's
something
too vague. I think you'd have to say,
like- Mhm.
otherwise, I think, wouldn't you have to have an amendment to the article to nominate for a specific committee?
Well, amendment to what?
To the amendment to the article, if you wanted to create a specific committee.
I'm gonna do it right now, I mean, it's probably not gonna happen until a year from now.
Well, then-
We'll put that in,
It's always, it's a standard article.
so it's in every year's warrant.
Every year it's on the warrant.
And it's just general, that the select board has that authority. But it has to be renewed every year.
Article 17, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to retain legal counsel for the town or take any action relative thereto. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to leave the care, maintenance, and repair of the town hall, Shaw Memorial Library, Hollick Memorial School Building, Hathaway Hall, Firehouse, Town Garage, Police Station, Public Safety Building, and surrounding areas in charge of the Buildings Committee, or take any other action relative thereto. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to leave the care, operation, maintenance, and repair of the broadband municipal light plant telecommunication system, including buildings or other structures and the land surrounding them, and any extensions or expansions of said system or plant in the charge of the select board in accordance with the provisions of chapter 164 of the Massachusetts general laws, or take any action relative thereto. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to leave the care, maintenance, and repair of the cemeteries in charge of the cemetery committee. Take any other action relative thereto. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to leave the care, maintenance, and repair of the highways, public ways, including the alteration of and widening thereof, railings and bridges in charge of the select board, or take any other action relative thereto. To see if the town will vote to accept the reports of the town officers, boards, committees, trustees, etc., as printed in the town report. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to transact any other business that may legally come before this meeting. That's it.
I remember having a conversation with someone that there was something else that should be included. When we, well, I can't remember, so it could have been that they didn't, we put it in. So. So I move that we accept the annual town meeting articles as submitted. I second it.
In favor?
Uh,
Peter there yet?
Yeah.
Peter, you're up.
We can't hear you, Peter.
Sorry, I was muted. Hi, everybody. So, as you know, at the last select board meeting, we received notice that Bonnie Phillips was going to resign as our custodian. And since then, I've been working on a job description, and I've been talking to Chief Litchfield because among the buildings that currently don't have custodial capability is the police station. And it just felt like to me that we ought to include the cleaning of that building along with the other three buildings. So in that regard, I think it also makes sense for there to be someone besides just the buildings committee that's involved in the interview process and hiring of this individual. Typically, employees report to the select board. And I'm not sure that the buildings committee should have their own employee. So I would like to understand better how that works, because up until now, as far as I know, Bonnie Phillips is paid by the town, and we've had nothing to do with her salary, although she does call and report to us when she finds a problem. So I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
As long as it's only one of us, it's not a problem. If there's both of us, it's a problem. Because that would be a quorum. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
I did not.
Oh, sorry. I said, I think that Ben and I looked at each other and we both said it sounded fine to us. But then I said, as long as it's only one of us, because if it's both of us, then
Understood.
you'd have to post it as a public meeting. I mean, and that's not a problem, it's just more difficult to coordinate. But if it's only
Right.
one, it's not a quorum, then that works.
So I'm not sure who our liaison is to the buildings committee, but that would be the likely candidate.
It's not me, I know that. It could be now though. You wanna do it?
Either one, it don't matter.
We'll figure that out. Do you need to know tonight?
Well, no, but I do want to post it because we're coming up against the, you know, we're not going to have custodial services after the end of April. So
So when were you thinking of conducting interviews?
well, I
That
have
makes
to,
it easy.
we have to go through the process of posting the job and advertising and then receiving candidates. So I can send, if you're going to be the liaison, Judy, I can send you the job description that I have and we can go from there.
All right, I'll try. I've got a lot of balls in the air right now.
I mean, send it to me too, each way, it doesn't matter.
Why,
We'll
does
get
it
it
have
done.
to be the same person at all the interviews if you get more than one applicant? Bruce, I keep turning around to look at you, I should be talking to the owl. Sorry. It's weird to be talking to you on the owl.
I'm sorry.
What I was saying is, could you just send it to both of us and one or the other of us will try to be at every interview? Because between finance committee meetings and, select board meetings and proving the town annual report, I'm feeling pretty spread thin. I can do my best to be at as many as possible. But if it could just be a select board member will be present, I'm happy to review the job description for you.
That sounds fine. The other piece of this puzzle is that currently we don't have in our budget the money for this extra work. So I don't know if we're going to get. I mean, it's about a third more work, so I don't know if we're going to get a third of this from the police department budget or if the buildings committee is going to have to appropriate more money. But I'm just trying to figure out the other piece of this, which is how do we pay for this?
Well, good thing Bob Baker's in the room,
But he doesn't have.
but we're gonna have a meeting on Thursday to figure that all out, so we can make a note to bring that up.
Bring up,
Yeah, in the past, just so I'm sure I understand, was this paid for out of the buildings committee budget?
So to date, the police department has been doing their own cleaning. They have no staff and they've been doing it themselves.
Okay,
So
well, I don't feel like I can discuss that on behalf of the whole committee. It's got to be something that comes up in the finance committee and this is the perfect time because it's in the context of how we're gonna balance the budget anyway.
we can talk about it too.
Yeah, we'll talk about it Thursday. Do you have any, you think it'll be a third more than what you've been paying?
yes, I think we're going to go from $4,000 a year to $6,000.
Okay,
And the other piece of this is that we want to fold into the responsibilities, the winter snow removal. Because if we had up a custodian who's around and they're doing work, it makes sense for them to do snow removal if they're at the building already.
you mean like the shoveling the walks and the entrances,
Yes,
not the parking arrangements or anything?
not unless they're really energetic.
In that case, you might also just want to check what the mobility and physical requirements are in the job description.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ben.
Any other questions? Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Next on the list, discussion possibly schedule an executive session within the next several weeks to discuss the police contract. We're gonna have an executive session to go over the police contract.
On Friday. This Friday. But it's in morning and it's the only agenda item, so you're welcome to show up if you want,
But then you have
then you have to.
KP law payment of $240.36.
I move that we pay KP Law bill of $240.36, and I second that motion.
All in favor?
I,
Miscellaneous mail and meeting notices. Email from Plainfield resident Kathy Filkins expressing interest in joining the planning board.
actually, I move that we accept her interest or that we appoint her.
Okay.
I move that we appoint planning. And, all right, we'll do these in sequence. So I second it.
All in favor?
And I move that I now become the alternate again as I was before. Since I stepped in on the planning board, and so that they could have a quorum if they had anything they had to vote on. I second that.
All in favor?
Excellent. Shannon, be sure you tell this to Ruth, so she can get it on her committee list.
Email from Plainfield resident Betsy Howes expressing concern about the possibility of town office expansion in regards to the library. I have orders.
I presume that's why the library board is here. We have our library contingent.
Not too good at reading cursive, but dear select board,
I don't think that's it.
well, no, this is the draft of the,
Oh, from the select board contingent.
Yeah, that's not the original.
This is the original. Ben, first I would like,
oh, yeah, the email, yes, I was just going into what everybody's here to discuss
oh, okay,
about the building,
all right,
because that's all that talks about.
right,
Had to do with how it was left to the town or gifted to the town.
right.
In researching the terms and conditions of the gift from Doris Alden. The use found these facts. Gift was for library.
Expansion
Yeah,
and included the library basement. And 3 was to be used by library for present and future, as in perpetuity. In light of the agreement, it is clear that we, the library personnel, and nor any other town body can change the terms of said, cannot change the terms of said gift. Board of Library Trustees. Donna M. Monroe, Linda Mason, Sandy Moran, and Denise Sessions. Enclosed copies of conditions of agreement. Well, I guess that sort of kills the notion of using that space for town offices. And
Can we get a legal opinion of that, please? Because among the things that are mitigating circumstances, there is no connection between the basement and the library proper. There's no way to get from the library down to the basement without going either out of the building or down a separate set of stairs that is part of the entrance to the offices to the building. So there's no shared access to this space. And I think it would behoove us to understand and do some research that, so I would recommend we ask KP Law for their opinion.
and
Okay, first off, there is access. It may not be the greatest, but there is access down there. Secondly, it is clearly in the conditions and terms that there was provision made so that there could be a lift for the use of the library. This agreement was drawn up by a lawyer. It was the lawyer who gave us the gift. And Bob Porash was her compatriot, whatever you want to call. Pardon. Yes, he was.
but also I think you were saying her friend, her partner,
He was her
her
friend.
partner in designing this.
And she definitely, I will read to you. If you would like exactly what it says as far as the gift goes. The amount of the gift shall be $300,000. The structure of the gift would leave to the town to open a brokerage account with so and so and so and so. That Doris F. Alden, the donor, would transfer the account of the town or otherwise liquidate the benefit of the town appreciated securities with approximate value. The town would pay from the proceeds the commissions, fees, and expenses incident to that transaction. Following liquidation of the securities, the net proceeds would be transferred to the town treasurer to be held in a segregated fund designated as the Alden Library Extension Fund. or some other suitable name. And then it goes down further, where it says the project to modification is provided below, which consists of an addition to the town library. I contemplate that this would consist of 2 main rooms, downstairs and upstairs room, a full basement. Auxiliary rooms such as bathrooms and possibly a stair lift, chair, or other means to assist handicapped persons to the 2nd floor if required by law is also contemplated. The funds and earnings therein would be expended towards such project terms as the basic construction, excluding furnishings and books, excluding the furnishings and books. I would hope that others would contribute to the furnishings and equipment for the new space. Question?
Thank you so much for reading that, Sandy. It's super helpful to hear the details. I'm curious, does the library have a plan for the space? Because right now it's not being utilized, right? So maybe you all have some ideas and some plans, and it'd be great to like hear what those are too.
We do. Our library is getting very crowded. And we're going to have to be moving some books. And we would like to put them down there. There may be at some point that we would put the children's room down there. But I don't think we need to have exact plans right at this point. I think it's clear. I would just like, as a little bit of history, to say that Doris Alden was a very prominent person in town. She was our town attorney for many years. She gave many things to the town, did many things for the town, participated in our town government. She came here as a child when her grandparents lived on East Street, which is now named Alton Road, and their family's honor. And just as one little story, when she was a young girl, she and Annie Hathaway used to meet when she used to come up here and stay with her grandparents during the summer. And they would meet and walk to the library several times a week when it was open. And she was very fond of the library. That was the reasoning behind giving the library. This explicit sheet. If you read through everything, you'll see how she dictated as to who she wanted the architect to be. She dictated who she wanted to be on the committee. I mean, you have copies of it, so you can read it yourself, but that was her wish was that this was the library. She didn't specifically for the library.
All right, so just a point of information, Peter LaPointe, 53 South Union. I met with the trustees, I'm guessing it was 2.5 years ago, and discussed this idea of the offices moving down into the basement. And what we proposed was trading the space that the offices currently occupy for use of the space in the basement. And basically it was a space trade. And at that time, Sandy said it was a great idea. She was trying to figure out how that space would be used. And so based upon that, I have been under the assumption that we would be able to work out a trade of square footage so that the space of the offices, which are on the same level as the library, could be used for library purposes. And the basement, which if you needed to use it for the library would require an elevator and a lot of extra construction, could be used for the offices. Because if it's 2 separate uses, the building can be used without having to install an elevator, which at this point would be as much as the $300,000 gift that they received to build the building in the first place. So the future of this space without an elevator is It's probably gonna stay exactly as it is. But anyway, that was what happened. That was why I pursued this, was because I had a conversation with the trustees at one of their meetings.
Sandy?
Actually, we remember something of that. You came in and just, I can remember your suggesting that at that time. There was no vote taken. We did talk about it. But that was 2.5 years ago. And at that time, we weren't doing what was happening, you know, we didn't have that. All these papers in front of us. In the meantime, we have talked about it several times, and we have come to the conclusion that that's not what we would like to see. Secondly, I don't mean to sound like I'm trying to point fingers or anything, but you actually asked me at a town meeting, at a select board's meeting here, and the week before our trustees meeting. If you could have a meeting with us. And I agreed and told you, yes, you could come at 4 o'clock, or that was when we met. And again, I was in the hospital with Ted. And this was on April 5th that he was supposed to be with us. I came home early from the hospital so I could be there for the meeting. And you did not come to the meeting, and I thought that would have been time now, rather than 2.5 years ago, come and see what we had to say now.
I
I mean,
understand
2.5 years ago is a long time to, and it wasn't a real, like, are we gonna do this? It was more or less, we were listening to what you had to say, and yeah, I mean, I don't remember saying it, but I could very well have said, yeah, this might be a good idea, or this might be an idea that we could do. But since then, things have changed. It wasn't anything formal.
I've been on the committee only a few years and I don't know any of the history or anything, but I do know from my own perspective that we didn't review all this stuff until recently. So just recently, we've read all of the conditions in the agreement and have decided that it just does not comply with your request. And we want to leave things the way they are.
I'm not sure we can legally change them anyway.
That's where we came
Well,
from.
you can do that, but you have to go to court and get.
You'd have to go to court
Yes.
and all that.
Yes.
It's expensive and painful.
Yes.
Might as well do it.
And we do use that space. We use it for storing books. We have our annual book sale down there and a couple of other activities during the summertime. So it's not, dead space.
We've had our ice cream party.
Yes, we've done, we do
do.
things down there.
Any other questions? Jerry?
Sherry Little, 73 South Union, but it sounds like they're trading space there. You're gaining the same amount of square footage.
No,
on the
we are
same
not.
building.
It
Instead
doesn't
of-
matter. Whatever it says in the agreement, I think we need to comply to.
But the town office is smaller than the basement space.
Sandy?
Actually, I went up there, this week and I measured the space. Downstairs is like, 13. I can't remember exactly now, but I think it was like 13. And the town offices are like 780. Plus, it's not set up the way we would, I mean, we're gonna have to be all remodeled, we have to be all remodeled to be any use to us anyway. I mean, we have to have shelves, we have to have. It's just not, it's not practical for us, is what we feel.
I
I'm
guess,
doing the.
I guess the other option is to consider taking over the children's room, which is part of the original building and not subject to the will, if the town needs to have space and that's the only space in the building that isn't covered by the addition.
I'm not sure what you mean by children's room. We already have that, what used to be what we call when the school, I went to school there.
That's the library when the street
When I went to school here, the town offices was called the little room, only because that's where the little kids went to, they were there. Where the children's room in the library now is what was called the big room, because once you hit fourth grade, guess what? You were a big room, you were the big kids. And so, and that room, the big room is what we now use as the children's room.
So I think what,
And where the original bathroom is where it used to be our coat closet for the big room. The little room had the coat closet out in the hall coming into the building.
I think what Peter was suggesting is that since the gift and the agreement or restrictions apply to the additional space, not the original Halleck building, or maybe it does, I don't know, I
No,
don't think
it
that's
doesn't.
what he was suggesting. Then if we've switched spaces from the town offices to the one that is currently used for the children, and you could make the one that's town offices, the children's room.
But I don't think that's what the gift is. I know that's not what the gift is.
But the gift doesn't apply to it because it was part of the original building, right?
That's true, but this building, those downstairs is still a part of the library, which means that that is what it was made.
But we weren't talking about going to downstairs. Trade 2 rooms on the main floor. That gives a little bit more space for the town offices and keep the basement for the library. I'm not,
Is that what you were saying, Peter?
I'm just saying that the only, if the original building is the only building that the town has the ability to use that is separate from the library, then we should do a study to see how we can improve the offices looking at using the existing building.
town gave that up to the library. The town gave that big room to the library, right, they did. So I don't know how that figures in.
Is that written down? Denise?
Sometimes it gotta be somewhere, right?
there must have been
At the town
some
meeting.
select board minutes or something.
Well,
The
it
select
has, the
board-
town gave that big room to the library.
So if
when
you
the
can
school
research that and
closed.
see if that,
And that was
no
in
matters, we have to
67.
I have no idea.
Can the town take it back? I mean, I'm wondering why. Have any of you considered what it's like to work in the office for all the people who are crammed into a small space? I'm wondering if that is at all part of your consideration in making your decisions. I'm wondering what is it that you really need out of having the space? What is it that you envision it's important for the library? In comparison to what other people are suggesting.
Anyways, I've done my talking,
The value.
and I can talk more. I think some details on 600.
well, I think from what we came to do, we've done. If there's some other consideration, it needs to be considered separately. Maybe you can come and talk to us at our meeting and we can understand what you're saying to us and we can make research and see if it's a possibility or if we want to do it.
That sounds fair.
Because, I mean, what we're saying is this, I'm not sure legally. Even
Well,
if we can.
this is the way around it. This wouldn't touch this, it's the way around it.
Okay, yeah. So thank you for listening to.
Right, yes.
Stances now and
Yeah.
we'll consider whatever comes in the future.
And thank you for sending me that email and bringing it to my attention because I was not aware of that and it's an important consideration. So thank you.
Could you, as trustees, go back and find out in the archives if that's how far it was? How the room was given to the library and who must have it here?
I have no idea. I've only lived here 7 years.
Well, I
This is
know, but
all
I
new
mean,
to me.
somebody, there must be records.
I think that's a question for somebody who understands how our records are sorted and filed.
Okay.
Not for me.
I'm trying looking for the room that's all molded with the tiles on the floor.
That's what it is.
Usually they are.
Okay, I would say, Doris made her gift, it was in 1999. Okay, I just. I gotta understand,
July
I understand that.
26, 1999.
So the gift was made in 1999. Niece, I believe we had the children's room before that gift came. Yeah, yes, it was there. So it had to be quite a while before, it had to be probably in the.
Well, school closed in 67, so we're probably talking 1968.
Or
Around
70
about
or
there.
whatever, I mean, I don't
Somewhere around
know,
that
but it was
time.
certainly a long time.
So how do you find out who has those records?
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Letter from Eversource regarding the replacement of the 18K 1X transformer located at 2 North Union Street. The current transformer was installed in 1955 and is approaching the end of its design life. The new transformer will improve reliability, increase station capacity for future expansion.
Great study, will lose power less frequently.
By Mercedes Power. Any other questions, concerns?
You guys, the Eversource study, is it was intention to restore?
No, it doesn't say, it's just a,
It's a for your information kind of
Just like-
letter. And we get those all the time. And they never, I don't know if they really want us to.
Employees to be very well required special grant.
oh, they got all their permits and all that stuff.
Whatever gets fulfilled, we can pretty fine fee.
Because they're federally funded, pulls all back. So that's how they think.
I'm afraid that their funding gets frozen. I don't know.
I've got most of them, just, it may be by a special funds.
I was only on the planning board for what, 3 or 4 years. But I don't remember us ever considering a special permit for Eversource to do anything.
I'm talking to the building inspector, they like whatever permits they need. So
He's not the CBA, it's not, or was a special problem. Changing, this is the signs.
I would tend to agree with colleagues from 11 years around. Agree that we would hold Eversource to our town bylaws and special permits. And yes, other situations where they come in and want to do work, they, then it has a precedent. They're not having to follow any of our town's traditions. There's a special permit.
Right, but our zoning bylaws have changed. I'm not sure that this whole rules and zoning bylaws is on. I don't know that they're just end running.
and they've been dealing with the building inspector the past 6 months, so.
I mean, if the building inspector is supposed to point things at the planning board, they have to get a special permit.
Oh, I believe has a
I-
raised hand.
I was just hoping, hey, y'all, before we all depart, maybe Judy is now a good time to give like a 4 or 5 sentence overview of what happened on, oh gosh, what the meeting that you, me and Ben
Was our
and Gelb were at?
Yeah,
A pilot
we have one
meeting.
more- We have one more thing on our agenda before we get to that. It's
Okay.
not on the agenda, it was something that came up today.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm not talking at the owl, I keep, I just keep bringing stuff.
I heard you both ways. Thank you.
Okay,
This has to do with, Plainfield's considering selling a dump truck, which was purchased in 2023. Then using the proceeds to pay off the existing debt on the 23 truck to purchase a used truck that would be more suitable for the town's needs. Because the one we have is useless. This is recommendations and a summary of the meeting with the Department of Revenue. The dump truck cannot be sold until the existing debt is paid off. Revenue from an auction goes into the general fund and can be spent at town meeting by appropriating free cash. There is a considerable risk that the auction will not bring in more cash than the dump truck cost the town, or than the town owes on the vehicle. Considerations: the minimum bid for the dump truck should be equal to the 2023 purchase value of the vehicle, or at least to be to the outstanding debt owed. Town could consider purchasing the new smaller vehicle, and it's not gonna be a new vehicle.
It'll be used to.
Right.
New to us.
Then sell the dump truck in fiscal 2025 or 2026. This would relieve the time pressure as this will be tight. The DOR does not officially recommend that Plainfield tries to sell the dump truck before the 5-year debt repayment timeline. The proposals below are only possible pass forward, not recommendations from the state. Both proposals require a significant expenditure from 2025 free cash. This proposal is the fastest option to sell the dump truck and purchase a new vehicle, but involves a difficult to explain offset to the tax rate calculation. Treasurer obtains payoff amount for existing debt from Bank ESP. BOS votes to declare the dump truck as auctionable. Town meeting vote to appropriate debt payoff amount out of fiscal year 2024 free cash. Town meeting vote to raise an appropriate new truck purchase amount on the tax levy. Still not a new truck, but auction of dump truck occurs after July 1st, but before the tax rate is set. During the tax rate calculation, the auction payment amount is entered as an estimated receipt. The estimated receipt offsets the additional tax rate levy for the purchase of the new vehicle. Any remaining revenue from the sale of the truck is put to free cash for fiscal year 2026. Notes, this plan would hold up any extra funds from the sale of the truck until free cash is certified for fiscal year 2026, likely in October 2026.
Pardon, 25.
No, I meant October 2026.
Oh,
Yeah, it would have to wait until we close the fiscal year 26. June 30th.
all right, sorry, I do not understand how all that works, so I just thought it was kind of like what we were talking about before, that it would get certified, but that would be the 25 free cash to get certified in this coming, all right, sorry. My
It
mistake.
also might take a longer time to find a buyer for the dump truck at a high enough rate. The second proposal, this proposal is conventional and easier to explain, but would be slower and risk going into the winter season without a new truck to replace the dump truck. Treasurer obtains payoff amount for existing debt from Bank ESP. Or select board votes to declare the dump truck as auctionable. Town meeting or special town meeting votes to appropriate debt payoff amount out of fiscal year 2024 free cash. Auction of dump truck occurs before July 1st and is entered as a fiscal year 2025 receipt. Treasurer and accountant balance books and certified free cash in fall 2025. After free cash is certified, special town meeting vote to purchase new highway truck out of fiscal year 2025 free cash, which will include the revenue from the sale of the dump truck. This plan will give us access to the extra funds from the sale of the dump truck, less the purchase of the new truck. Okay, you gotta stop saying new truck, it'd be a used truck.
New used truck.
New to Plainfield.
Right. In the fall of fiscal year 2025, instead of waiting until fall 2026. This plan also has the same risk of rushing the auction to meet the July 1st deadline, so it might be hard to find a buyer at a high enough price. Recommendations. After emailing with Paula today, we agree the DOR recommendation that we refrain from paying off the debt on the dump truck early. Paula and I are also skeptical that the auction sale proceeds will be enough to cover the existing debt and the purchase of a new vehicle. However, if the board is set on moving forward, we feel that the second proposal is more straightforward and has a higher likelihood of its success.
I didn't mean for you to read the whole thing, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
It's my God.
It's the most I've read in 20 years.
Good for
As far as the truck goes, I mean, we should have never bought it. It had 16 miles on it and another municipality gave it up. I don't know why we got it, but we acquired it.
Mhm.
It is useless for what we need to do with it. It's not a bad truck, it's just not, it doesn't work for us. I mean, they haven't even been used, so I mean, if we wait that long, they're just gonna park it in the shed and it ain't even gonna get used, cause.
No,
It's,
the argument for selling it makes sense. We're not sure what to pay for.
Right.
We're not sure that using it to pay off the existing debt will leave enough left over to pay.
well, I'm just saying, like, if. We have to wait that long to sell it, it's just gonna sit in the garage.
It's gonna depreciate more.
Well, it's not gonna, it's got low miles on it, it's got like 600 miles on it or something.
Mhm.
But instead of using it and letting the salt destroy it, I mean, if we have to wait that long to sell it, it might last a little longer and still get the money out of it. I mean, the truck they wanna buy is like 30 grand or so.
I don't think that in this economy, a low mileage 23 truck,
It's a 21.
oh,
But it's not a
I think
desirable,
it's a 2021.
Goshen has one,
Still.
Williamsburg has one, they've had nothing but problems. There's just, it's just not a good truck.
you don't tell that to the people at the auction, you let them figure it out.
That's why it goes to the auction, but as far as, I mean, the thing will nickel and dime us to death if we keep using it, so.
The concern the DOR had is that we're going to authorize the payment of this vehicle to pay off all the debt on it, which I know right now we're saying it'd be 80,000, that doesn't include the extra 30,000 for the payoff. They were separated by different warrant articles, this one doesn't pass.
I think it's 100 and something,
We would need, 110.
way too much.
Wow.
It's 108,000 that is owed right at this time. 20, there's a payment due in July of 27,000 plus interest. That has been put in the budget. That leaves to pay it off another 81,000 plus whatever interest there is for the payoff.
I mean, we're
I
gonna,
mean, to date, we have paid one payment on $135,000 loan.
Is there a prepayment penalty if we pay it off before maturity?
There is not.
Okay,
Confirmed.
so all we would be paying is the actual principal plus whatever the interest is. What is our interest rate on that debt, do you know?
Top of my head,
4.5, cost right around 4.5.
so that'd be my guess.
That seems high for 2021, but
well, it
okay.
says, they started going on. but- So, no matter what, you're gonna, as a town, we're gonna lose some money on the truck.
So. The concern that I had was with the paperwork, you wanna just say, okay, we're gonna sell this vehicle, it's not working for us, and then use that to pay off the existing debt. That was, the order was a little bit different, you pay off the debt and then you get the money back in free cash next year.
Right.
But then, I just think you gotta say, we're gonna purchase a used truck out of a different funding source, I don't think it would be covered by this.
No, you have to.
Then we would have to fund that purchase.
Correct, you grant which money comes from. Well, it's gonna be roughly around 30 grand-ish for a 10-wheel dump truck that we can use and it'd be cost effective, all set up for plowing and everything used. So,
I believe that it makes sense, just that it couldn't be paid for.
right, well, you just have to put that to free cash and then come up with buy the truck.
And we'd already be spending out of this year's free cash, the 108,000 or the,
Right.
to
Right.
this allow us to do the auction.
Yes, Judy.
I have another question. So if we find that this truck unusable or useless to the town and it sits in a garage. What if we just auctioned the truck and paid off the debt? And didn't buy the new used
You
truck,
can't auction it without the debt being cleared.
But I hear what you're saying.
but instead of having it get complicated by selling one to get the money and pay the debt and then get a new one, just focus on how we can sell off this one. So borrow, take the money out of stabilization, free cash, I don't know where it comes from, pay off the debt. Sell the truck that is sitting there depreciating and that we're not using. And once those transactions have cleared and we know where we came out on all of it, then you know what you have to spend on a replacement truck that is smaller, a replacement used truck that is smaller
It's actually gonna be bigger.
or bigger, whatever, I don't know. A replacement truck that will be more usable by the town.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. We just have to check with Mark, he's gonna be okay not having a dump truck, but.
Well, we don't know how to sell, it might sell faster than we think, because remember what, with tariffs, what they are, people might be.
But they haven't been using it as a dump truck, we got that truck from the state there that we've been using, so.
Okay. Would they be okay in terms of their fee?
I'm pretty sure.
Then would you sell it to the state?
Yeah, so that,
It's a- Who did we buy it from?
Someplace in Pennsylvania,
Well, that was the state.
Well, there's no stuff down there.
that's what happened.
Yeah.
so in that case, the order would be more in proposal two. I did the exact payoff amount, you would declare the truck to be auctionable. The town meeting would vote to appropriate the debt payoff amount out of free cash for 2024. There should be enough in there to cover it.
It's
I,
gonna be tight.
I think so, I
We
did,
can't really have this conversation till after Thursday, I think.
well, you can't, but
As far as
there-
auction stuff
there are
goes.
two, there is the payment that would be due in July is within the budget in the debt section. The balance of 81,000 is an article on the warrant. And the reason for the split is that we have to pay that July payment if even if that article on the warrant fails. So we can't lump it together
You don't want to
and
put
have
it,
it
have it
fail.
tied, yeah.
You have to be able to pay that loan payment.
Yeah,
Could you phrase the warrant articles such that we're gonna put this in the deadline if this other one doesn't pass? Just because I don't like the idea of raising and appropriating $25,000 on the tax rate for something we've already decided to sell. That we could do out of free cash.
I didn't understand that.
I did.
Yeah, I think we need to, I think you guys need to come up with what you think is the best and simplest way forward. And discuss that with Mark. And then propose it to the finance committee.
Time is short.
I know, I was gonna say, so you have about 36 hours.
All I can figure out, we go tonight, it's too long to get on the same page.
I don't
Then we'll
think that, I
send
don't
Mark.
think that necessarily. We are helping you in figuring it out, because you have to spend so much time explaining so many things to me that I don't understand about how the system works.
okay, but as far as auction goes, springtime is the best time to sell for auction. Fall time is the worst. So.
Okay.
As far as getting people to, you know.
So getting it into a May or June auction would be a good thing.
Yes. Usually, I mean, people are always itching to buy in the spring.
Where's Roberta when we need?
So in that case, you need to have a special town meeting before your, if you want.
Well, I mean, it don't have to be
Or
like
before
next
the new
week.
fiscal year, right?
Has to be before July
It has
first.
to be before you auction.
Right,
Yeah.
Well,
But it also
we've
has to
done
be
that
before the new
before, though.
fiscal year starts.
so you gotta figure out what you guys are gonna come up with and we'll go from there.
We did an annual town meeting last year, and then we had to go back and do a special town meeting a month later, literally 4 weeks later.
Okay.
And so that can be done, that's not insurmountable.
So,
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so back to what Delila was asking. She wanted me to just tell you guys a little bit about this meeting that Ben and Delila and I attended on Monday at 1 o'clock in Windsor Town Hall. It was for, does anyone here know what the Woodland Partnership is? It's a consortium of 21 towns, primarily in Berkshire and Franklin County, although any town can join, and I think we might want to, because it doesn't cost any. But we have a stake in it because our town is right borders what they're talking about. It is a project that they have undertaken. They've been lobbying for this for like 10 years. They worked with the auditor of the Commonwealth to conduct a deep dive research analysis of how payment in lieu of taxes funds are distributed across the Commonwealth. And it was fascinating because they were giving us real numbers about, first they assess the value of the acreage that you have in state-owned land, which is therefore technically tax exempt. And the value of that land incorporates the market value of developed land. So the discrepancy between east and west is enormous. There are some places where the undeveloped acreage is worth $5 an acre. And there are other places where it's assessed at over $28,000 an acre. And then that goes into some formula and they calculate what the town will get since it's in lieu of the taxes that they would have gotten. And a lot of it is state forest or protected land, but not all of it is protected land. Some of it is state-owned land that's developed for some legitimate community purpose. And there is a very thick report. How many pages is it, Dalila? Do you know?
I have no
It-
idea. I gave Ben Gelb my copy. He might be able to pull it out and tell you how many pages. It's big.
I'll put a couple of copies at the library. How's that? And then Pete, you can point people there. They had 3 different handouts. And one was this report, which was very thick. It can also be viewed online, but I know that's not going to be a big hit here. And it can, and then there were 2 one-page handouts sort of explaining what the study was, what their 4 takeaways were. And the whole point of this meeting was to build enthusiasm and word of mouth, because now is the budget season, to lobby our state representatives and state senator and to talk to other people. The louder, what was it? Somebody said, I know I'm preaching to the choir. And I was thinking, yeah, but you're trying to get the choir to sing louder, aren't you? Because it's taken a while, but they've made some progress. And there are some bills that are before the legislature and then the Senate to provide larger appropriations. It wouldn't be enough to make it completely equal, but it would be a lot. And we have about 1,800 acres, a little over 1,800 acres of state-owned land. Some of it has buildings on it, not all of it. I was surprised to find out that Swift River is state-owned. But in any case, it was a fascinating meeting. I am not doing justice to the depth of analysis that they went into. I haven't had a chance to read the whole report myself, but I would strongly recommend people at least look at it. I will get at least 2 copies of that report in hard copy to Denise. When are you open next?
Thursday,
Thursday at,
5 to 8.
oh, okay, I can do that. I'll get some to you then.
Okay.
Or is there a Dropbox there
There's
for
a
you?
book drop, yep,
Oh,
outside.
so I can put them in an envelope and drop them in, and you'll know what it is, because
Yes.
it's pretty and it's got 4 colors and all that. Thing. Anyway, it was a really interesting meeting. I think that this should be music to Bob Baker's ears, because he's always, and to Paul's, because we're all always talking about we ought to get more compensation. They were trying to place a value on. I asked the question, why does the state think that an undeveloped state forest is worth so much more than an undeveloped state park in Savoy? I mean, it's like, it's undeveloped land. And it's available to everybody in the state. So I was trying to propose to them that they needed to have 2 different standards. One should be for the land that is developed land that they own. Yes, that is more like the real estate market. But if it's undeveloped land, land is land is land, and if it's open to everybody, and there are hiking trails in both places, it's fresh air, it's clean water, it's all that stuff.
I'll just give you the actual amounts there. It's called the Plymouth Savoy Conundrum. For a similar piece of land in Plymouth gets $1,210,000. The similar piece of land here in our town gets $132,000. They get 9 times more of the value on their land that we get on ours.
That's huge.
So there were different tier options that they're gonna propose to the legislature. At the higher tier options, Plainfield could see $100,000 to $150,000 in extra revenue. Just from that.
Yeah. So in any case, that's part of how we were spending our time this week. It's learning about this project and asking questions, and it might be something to encourage people to look at before Lindsay Savadosa comes on Saturday. or ask Lindsay Savadosa to support greater funding for payment in lieu of taxes for state-owned lands in Western Mass. So, anyway,
And if anybody goes Saturday, talk, bring up chapter 70 money, that we never get enough.
yeah, or chapter 90 money could be getting a little boost this year.
Well, we did go through a little bit this year.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right now.
Won't be all, but-
So Leila, do you have something to add to that?
That was it. Thank you so much to you and Ben for that report out. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's, sorry.
It's okay.
I might have missed it, but did the board vote to close the submission?
Yes.
Yes.
We did.
So there's no more articles being submitted by the public.
No, we voted to close.
Yeah.
And when we finalize the articles that you told us about briefly tonight, along with the budget to be submitted by
The budget is being hashed out, at the finance committee meeting at 1:30 on Thursday. I don't know that we will have final numbers ready. I mean, I think we will discuss it and figure out how we're gonna change things. And then Paula will have to go back and plug it all into the system and make sure it balances. And then she'll get it back to the finance committee. Do we have a meeting on Monday, Bob? No. We have our public hearing for the town, where we will present the budget, so in between.
So the 22nd.
No, it is on the 17th. So Thursday night, the 17th is the public hearing, the 22nd is
To the select.
the next select board meeting where we have to accept the budget as presented by the finance committee.
So it's 17th, meeting at 1:00 and 7:00.
No, it's at 7 o'clock. Here, in this room. And the main reason we're doing the finance committee at 1:30 is because that accommodated Paula's schedule, and so she could be with us, and we needed to go through it line by line with her with us.
The public hearing is 7.
The public hearing is at 7,
And one more, bottom line.
and then Tuesday, the 22nd, the finance committee will present that budget to the select board, and we accept it and approve it, be included in the warrant for them, or whatever.
When will the public have access to a hard copy of the town report and the warrant article for the news is gonna be?
I'm glad you asked that question.
You kind of knew I would, did you?
No, I didn't, but I'm glad you did. I happen to have that schedule on I am proofreading the town annual report this week. And I made a first pass through, and I'm working with Dale Fusco so we can make a few corrections. There are some people I need to touch base with, because I found a couple of typos that looked to me like they were autocorrect typos, where someone was typing and computer auto-corrected, but it made the wrong autocorrect. And then there are a few other things that are still in flux. But, so I am supposed to be, oh, wait a minute, no, that's not part of this, it's in my mail. I believe the schedule was that I was going to get it to her, I'm gonna get the proofed copy to her this Friday. So I'm gonna be busy between now and Friday. And then she will make whatever corrections I go over, and she will get it to the printer early in the week of the 14th. With the goal of having the printed copies back in our hands by the end of day, Friday, the 18th. So that they can be available in the town offices for people to pick up by Monday, the 21st, which is 12 days before the town annual meeting.
Very good. That's the town report, that's very good. What about the warrant articles for the town meeting, including the budget?
I will defer to Paula and Shannon, since they're the ones that take the primary responsibility for writing those articles, or for.
Well, the board has to sign and post that warrants at least 7 days prior to, that's when it will be.
Publicly available, okay. So for the annual town meeting everything has to, the notice and the warrant articles have to be posted and available to the town 7 days before the meeting. If it's a special town meeting, it has to be 14 days. And I wanted this year, because last year was such a geschmazel with the town annual report where we got it back the Thursday before the meeting and it was a mess. And so we scrambled, fixed it, but we couldn't get it printed and distributed in time. And so that's why we had to have a second special town meeting in June. But, that's where we are.
When will a hard copy be available to the residents?
For the town report, 2025 town annual report, the warrant articles. Oh, that
7
would,
days before the
Yeah,
annual town meeting.
that would be on,
You agree with that, Paul?
Friday, the 25th. Friday, well,
Well.
Monday, the annual town meeting is on Thursday, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is Saturday, the 26th, so I would say Friday, the 25th.
Are those in charge, you get an agreement with that?
Maybe.
She's saying that's when our meeting was upstairs.
That's when it has to be posted, if it gets done before that, it gets done before that.
You can do it prior to, yes, yes.
Yeah, well, once it's ready to be posted, it's just a matter of photocopying a lot.
And will it go into the website? Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Collect calendars.
Ready to adjourn?
Okay. I see Ellen here and I want to ask one question.
Yeah.
Do you need anything else from us?
I just need a approval from the select board for a green burial.
I
Sign the letters.
So you're all set? Do you want a copy of what I have?
It's probably appropriate to give it to Shannon to put in the town records. We have to vote on that, we didn't vote on it. All right, I recommend that we approve the green burial for,
107.
for Bruce and Sylvain Stockwell at their residence located at 107 Grant Street, Plainfield. And I second that one.
All in favor?
I,
Okay,
so official.
good, because you passed just fine. Awesome.
Sylvain? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
That's
They're both the
original.
same, they're both original.
Yeah.
So this is a copy of.
Yeah, I had the plot. It's awesome.
Oh.
You don't have 8:45 last night. Yeah, right at our interval meeting.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so thank you. What?
Sylvain Stockwell.
Sylvain, yeah.
I moved to adjourn and I second this motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, everybody, for coming.